Yo, what is up, guys? XRP's at $1.09 right now on CoinMarketCap. Our first tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Just in, U.S. Senator urges the Senate to act faster. This is our last chance to get real legislation for digital assets on the books before 2030. Pass the Clarity Act. Our next tweet comes from Bank XRP. Banks are just waiting for the green light. Raoul Pal, once the Clarity Act passes, all the banks are going to come in and build out their crypto rails fast. And which token has been battle tested, SEC cleared, and institutionally held for years? The rails are already built. XRP. Let's watch this video.
From when I first got into the space, we said we were going to front run Wall Street. That was 2013. We've always said it, and here they are. When I've been speaking to the sovereign wealth funds here this week, and they've all got crypto in their books now.
And they're openly talking about their allocations.
And not only that, but the Treasury Secretary of the United States, who was an ex-macro hedge fund manager, friend of mine, he openly talks about how important it is. We've got Donald Trump talking about it. We've got everybody talking about it. We've got every financial institution building on stablecoin rails. We've got once the Clarity Act is passed, then all of the banks will start building out their crypto rails for everything. And if you speak to everybody, the banks need the clarity. The asset managers need the clarity. The corporations need the clarity. Everyone needs the clarity of the Clarity Act. Once you get it, it's the green light. They're all waiting for what exactly is, which things are securities, which are not, how does it all work? And once you've got it, we've got a roadmap. And everybody wants to go. Everybody wants to build on these rails, particularly the financial system, because it's so efficient and so fast to do things that they're incentivized to do it.
Smash that subscribe button and hit that like button if you believe XRP will reach $3 again this year. Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Crazy, Senator Loomis is calling out Elizabeth Warren again. I'm working on solutions, you're shouting into the void, hoping the status quo fixes itself. Our next tweet comes from 25 Hours Awake. Breaking, Trump's crypto czar David Sachs says a new payment system is set to launch in the United States. XRP and RLUSD, let's watch this video.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you, President Trump. It's a great honor to be here, and it's true that I never expected to work in government at all, and then everything changed after President Trump came on my podcast, and I accepted this job as crypto czar because I thought it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work for a president who really wants to get things done for the American people, and if anything, that's been an understatement. The first 6 months of this administration have been more successful than any administration in American history. What's been done? It's just been incredible. President Trump has worked at tech speed. We're used to working fast in Silicon Valley, but even this is fast for us in Silicon Valley, the speed at which you move, President Trump. It's really incredible. And now today, you have another historic legislative achievement that is a monumental step to fulfilling your promise to making the United States the crypto capital of the world. This Genius Act will unlock American dominance in the crypto industry by creating clear rules of the road. It will update archaic payment rails with a revolutionary new payment system, and it will extend U.S. dollar dominance, like you said, globally, by creating a digital dollar that people all over the world can use. And for every digital dollar in a crypto wallet, there'll be a traditional dollar in a U.S. bank account, which will create trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. treasuries. So that is the power of this bill, is U.S. dollar dominance.
Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Always remember that XRP was the first asset personally named by Trump for the Crypto Strategic Reserve. XRP first. Our next tweet comes from M on YX. Huge news, Senator Cynthia Loomis has just confirmed that the Clarity Act will pass, with strong support from Democrats. Let's watch this video.
Major bill designed to create a clear regulatory framework for digital assets could soon be heading to the Senate floor for a full vote in less than 2 hours. The Senate Banking Committee's markup process on the Clarity Act set to begin. Republican Senator Cynthia Loomis is here, and she's the author and champion of that bill. She sits on the Senate Banking Committee as chair of the Digital Assets Subcommittee. Good morning to you. Sounds like we're here. It's going to happen.
That's a fact. We've been working for over 9 months with Democrats trying to get this bill ready for today. It provides a regulatory framework that currently doesn't exist in the digital asset world. It's the Wild West out there, and that allows fraudsters to operate without a regulatory framework to respond to their illicit activity. It also allows legitimate players to set up shop overseas because they do have regulatory frameworks. This is a way to bring this industry into the fold into the United States, make it strong, robust, and serve the American consumer.
Our next tweet comes from Ripple Zitty. Just in, Japan's weakening yen is putting XRP on more corporate treasury radars. Our next tweet comes from Coach TY. Strong institutional signals today. Larry Fink, BlackRock, in almost every period of our lifetime, buying the dips benefited you. Plus, we are just at the beginning of growing the global capital market. Franklin Templeton, executive. XRP is already well past the journey, versus new chains popping up weekly asking for issuance. Big money knows where this is headed. Do you? Let's watch this video.
On their chain. How do you evaluate the right chain, and specifically, like, where does XRP fit into that, and what are you excited about with regards to XRP and institutional adoption, and also the chains that come to you, which I'm sure are coming to you weekly at this point?
Well, yeah, because there's a lot of new chains too, and I think one of the things that another trend that you see globally is that very large institutions, kind of whales that are sitting out there in the global economy, are finding, they're understanding this ecosystem a little bit more, and they're trying to migrate people to using, chains or side chains that they have decided to kind of adopt. And so you do see a proliferation of that. And, from Franklin Templeton's perspective, we're going to go where the customers are, quite frankly, right? You're always listening to your customers. And, XRP and the community around XRP is pretty aggressive at, growing and iterating for these purposes, these trillions of dollars purposes that, that we've been speaking about before. And so we have a lot of enthusiasm about working with the team specifically. When our journey started with the global regulators, and, we touch a lot of different global regulators, we did create a kind of a selection criteria that kind of, I hesitate to use the word protocol, but it does become kind of a standard when you're the first one through the door, and you're learning up these regulators, quite frankly, toward, not that you're, trying to be a decentralized, permissionless issuer of an asset, but you're actually, you're in a securities business and you're permissioned, and you're just trying to use these rails as your underlying, data kind of database operating system by and large. And so there's a number of things that we kind of punched through there with the regulators to put that template in place. But we think that, XRP is, well past the journey of even new chains, toward that end. And I think, quite frankly, one of the things that we like the most as the technology at XRP continues to iterate is just the leadership. When I go into meetings with XRP and Ripple, I'm looking at, quite frankly, I'm like looking in the mirror at people that have the same, decades of experience in developing these things, as opposed to just, we want to move fast and break shit and, and move forward. And so it's wisdom of applying these things that's super important. It's not always just the technology, it's the leadership that's implementing the technology, quite frankly, toward broad purposes, that's going to determine the success of the project.
Our next tweet comes from Digital Asset Buy. BlackRock can't talk about XRP. R3 can't talk about XRP. Elon Musk can't talk about XRP. They can all talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum. I predict one day they're all talking about XRP. Lock in. Let's watch this video.
How about an XRP ETF? I know you got Ether out there. How about XRP? Can you answer that?
I can't. And you don't want me to.
I do.
Well, I can't.
All right. They're giving me the rap. Thank you.
Given how punitive the SEC has been towards crypto under this administration, do you envision the XRP ledger being incorporated into the financial institutions in the future?
Well, I certainly cannot speak to any specific crypto, but I do think that the sort of cryptocurrency is an interesting and probably valuable bulwark against a centralized control. This is definitely not an endorsement or lack of endorsement for XRP, but I do think crypto, by its very nature, it helps with individual freedom.
You still working with Ripple at all as a company? I know that there was some extracurricular activity that was working its way through the courts, but and it's since been resolved. But I'm curious if there's ongoing discussions, since one of their primary focus is on the interbank settlement component that you're also touching.
So, frankly, Ripple's probably the only topic I can't talk about. I just don't talk about it. I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it.
Our next tweet comes from Paul Gold Eagle. Breaking news: Australia's managing director of digital assets hints at XRP backing the Australian dollar. The XRP ledger was already piloted to back USD. Let's watch this video.
Is this digital dollar that they're issuing and doing this pilot with, is it actually a dollar like I know it?
Yes. Yes.
So therefore it's worth 67 point blah-de-blah US cents right now.
Precisely. You can think of it as exactly the dollar that you know today, but it's in a different form factor, a different technological format, which means that it can do things that the dollars we have today cannot do.
Okay, so what's the difference therefore between the digital currency that the Reserve Bank is rolling out and doing this pilot with and with what I'm doing right now? Because I don't use cash. So therefore, all of my transactions are digital. So surely our currency is already digital, is it not?
It is, but the exciting thing here is if it's on blockchain rails, it means that you can interact with the digital dollar and a digital asset using smart contracts. So computer code that says if this, then that. So imagine you can automate a whole lot of transactions that today you need an intermediary to be involved in.
So just give me a practical example of that. Would that be that I can transfer money directly to your account, immediately moving it there because the blockchain would know each of us on either side of that transaction?
That's right. There's a shared ledger. So all it has to do is update and say that Ross has just paid Sophie. So it just updates a line in a shared ledger. It's very efficient.
So that means, say, for example, payments to business could be one of the big advantages of this, where, you know, we know how long it takes, in some cases, even government payments to go to small and medium-sized businesses. They could go immediately using these types of technologies.
They could go immediately if that's what you're looking for, or you could add conditions. So pay Ross, but pay him on Tuesday and only when a certain event has occurred.
Right, so that's okay. So then, given this pilot program is now rolling out, how long is it before businesses in Australia, before you and I can practically start to use this type of digital currency?
Well, I expect that the Reserve Bank will be careful and cautious. They will do a series of further experiments and they'll want to know that they've got the design right. There's many ways that these things can be designed and they need to get that right. So I think what's really important here is to do applied innovation to learn first and to get it right rather than to be first.
So who will be a part of this pilot program? Is it just the banks transacting with each other, or is there a broader audience that will be involved?
It's much broader than that. So it's not just banks. There's also some fintechs and different organisations which are putting forward use cases. And in addition to that, we are getting customers to test because we want a broad segment of the community to give us feedback on what works and what can be improved.
Okay, but then we should note that this would be what's called a stable coin, isn't it? Because effectively it is a central bank digital currency, so therefore it is rock solid with the Aussie dollar.
That is correct. It is one for one with the Aussie dollar. It's just a new digital form of that. It's slightly different to a stable coin, but it is stable in value because it is backed by and an obligation of the Reserve Bank.
Real quick, if this helped, press the like button. It tells YouTube to show this to people who want the truth, not hype. And press the subscribe button if you're done being sold the moon. I've already got your next one right here. Go.